Hi, my beautiful grief growers. It's been a bit since I've done a solo episode for you, and I've had a bit of an interesting week. So I wanted to sit down and just come at you today from a casual and a curious space and just talk about why I do the work that I do. I posted an article earlier this month called The Crucial Difference Between a Death and a Breakup. It made its way around my business page and a couple of other grief groups online that I live in. And it's an article about how the aftermath of a breakup is different than the aftermath of a death. I.e., with a death, your loved one's life doesn't continue. You're left with all of your hopes and dreams and expectations for the future never being fulfilled. And there is pain in that. There is massive pain in that. I cannot tell you or express to you the pain that I felt when I lost my mom in 2013 and realized in her death that I would never get to experience a future with her in the physical world ever again. But with a breakup, and this is the difference that I wrote about, you're left with all of your hopes and your dreams and your expectations for the future, and they never get realized, just like a death. But if you're still in touch with your ex, or if you see them on social media, you see all of your hopes and dreams and expectations for your mutual relationship that was supposed to be, quote unquote, replaced with something else entirely different. So not only do your dreams with this person not get fulfilled, they're on an entirely different path. And there's a different kind of pain in that than the pain that occurs when a death happens. You have to watch your ex choose new partners or pick up new habits or totally derail themselves or move across the country, and you're not there for that when you were supposed to be there for that in a way. And it wasn't in your plan together. And yeah, there's grief in that. So that's what the article was about. It was acknowledging both of these types of grief and just noticing how both outcomes after the loss happened were different, but were both worth grieving. Unfortunately, either because of the way this article was written or because of the way people perceived it, I got a lot of hate. People came after me on Facebook and in my private inbox telling me that I was a stupid girl, how I had probably never experienced any real tragedy in my life, and how I needed to go back to school if I was going to dare call myself an intuitive grief guide out in the public sphere. I had people and their relatives that I didn't even know banding together to give me 1-star reviews on Facebook and demanding that I be blocked from these all-inclusive grief groups that I am a regular contributor to. It was a very, very, very hard wave to ride. And like many heart-centered business owners like myself, I asked myself, I said, why do I keep doing this? Why do I keep talking about such a universal, dark, and touchy subject? Why do I keep asking questions and talking to people about loss and checking out endless stacks of grief books from the library? Why do I dare share so fucking much of my personal life online for other people, total strangers, to read and digest? Why do I keep doing this? I was listening to an episode of Oprah's Super Soul Sunday, which is now in podcast form, so I am all over it. And Oprah was talking to one of my favorite authors, Glennon Doyle Melton, and they got to a place in their conversation where Glennon said something along the lines of this. She said, I keep talking because I hold in me a truth that cannot be denied. I keep talking because I hold in me a truth that cannot be denied. And it just hit me. That was my answer. I always knew this answer. I talk about grief because its truths and its lessons are a truth for me that cannot be denied. I can't go 24 hours without thinking about how our lives are affected by loss. I can't go for a week without asking somebody, whether it's for an interview for the podcast or a stranger on the street, about their loss story. I can't live my life excluding the events that have absolutely changed me, and the truths that I'm always learning from it. I didn't ask for this, grief growers. I didn't ever think I would become grief obsessed. I never thought I would throw myself into grief with the force that I have, but grief totally transformed my life. It did, for the absolute worst. And then slowly, very slowly, for the better. All I want to share with you, every day that I post an article, every week that an episode of this podcast is released, every time that I open my mouth to address all of you, grief growers, is the truth. And the truth for me, in the midst of my grief, is that stories heal. Stories heal. My story, your story, their story, all of our stories heal. Now, they don't fix, they don't cure. Stories don't magically make all of our pain go away, but they do teach. They do connect. They do love us. I hold in me this truth that cannot be denied, and I have to share it. I have to, or I'll go crazy. And that's just how it goes for me. That's how it's playing out. Maybe if I get obsessed with something different, I'll start talking about that. But for right now, in this season of my life, it's grief. And despite the haters and the online attacks and the cruel words that get thrown at me, I'm just going to keep talking. Because in the midst of my own darkness, when I was walking through the first days and the first months and the first years of that initial grief of losing my mom, I know that stories are what helped me. All the people who just kept talking, who just kept sharing all of those dark places inside of themselves, who just kept reaching out to check on me through their words. And you may not agree with my truth. You may not agree with what I have to say, or the resources I provide, or the people that I interview, and you may loudly tell me about it. Have at it. But here's the thing. I'm not out to tell you how to grieve. I'm not out to tell you what pain should look like. I'm not out to save your life. Most of the time, I'm not even out to change it. I'm just here to talk about what changed my life. To tell the truths that I'm learning in my own coming back. Grief totally transformed my life. I know it has totally transformed yours too. I just want to talk about it. And if it resonates with you, great. Thank you. Thank you for being here with me in this. Because talking, stories, my story, your story, their story, our story, stories heal. I see you. I am so proud of you and the work that you're doing in this world. And I love you. That's why I keep doing this. Because even through grief, we are growing.